Yeah.
Okay, what about this race? Now
Now this is Don McIntyre's
right.
race.
This
Yes.
is Don McIntyre's new Ocean Globe Race 2023, and they put out a release just before we went to air, and I've been following this a little bit. I don't know Mr. McIntyre. Met him.
Yeah, I know Don pretty well.
So tell us about this
guy.
race.
Well, I know Don well. I'm not sure I know all the details of this race. I've read a little bit. There was initially it was going to be no GPS, various other things, and now I think there's a swan class, and
there is a big swan class.
Yeah, and maybe there were some of the old Whitbread boats could do it. So I think there's a real desire for races like this, and I'm all in favour of people doing this sort of stuff. It's a step above some of the rallies that go on, and it gives people the opportunity to experience a real race. Of course, the Southern Ocean is no place for unpreparedness, and so that's the big thing, to make sure that everyone is ready to deal with the conditions that they will experience. It's a big difference between a transatlantic and a Southern Ocean race.
Well, it's back to the future. As you said, they look like they want to run the Whitbread race, where they have 2 or 3 divisions of boats that get rated. It's obviously not a one design race. And he says in the release today that they've already sold out 65% of their, I think they have 40 slots, is what I think he was talking about, and they've sold out 27 of them or something, some high percentage. So let's see if that happens, and if it does, and if they do it safely and it attracts a lot of attention. It's going to start and finish in the UK, I guess. Is it in the UK or is it in France?
I would imagine it might be Les Sables d'Olonne, based on the fact that Plymouth's been having a few issues with losing races recently.
It says, in fact, I see on the graphic, start of the first leg from Europe, or start of the first leg from Europe to South Africa.
Yeah. But Don is a great guy and very good at organising this sort of stuff, and boundless enthusiasm. And if you tell him something can't be done, he'll make sure it does happen. So I have full confidence that the thing will actually go ahead.
What do you think of the finish of the Fastnet race in France after these many years?
Well, the finish in Plymouth, I'm sorry to say for the English people, but is a great disappointment after many of the other races in the world.
It's not like going into Tasmania. It's not like going into Hobart.
It's not like going into Hobart. But they've only said that they're going to do it for 2. At this stage, I think they've said it's set up for 2 events, and it actually, for me, it's renewed interest because it's a different course, so different challenges, different things to think about. And sailing is a major sport in France. Sailing makes it to the back page of the paper, and it's just good for the sport. It's nothing like the Sydney to Hobart race. The Sydney Hobart race would never go anywhere else, but the Fastnet race, I see it as a slightly different race. And I think let's just see how it goes.
Well, I hear there's going to be some sort of a Plymouth to, Solent around the Rock and back to Plymouth kind of a race that fills in, but we'll see. There's all talk. There's talk is cheap, as I used to say, and Bill Koch he adopted that expression.
Yeah, well, they sell out the Fastnet in a minute or something for the regular boats.
Exactly.
And so they've been struggling for years to try and get things to change in Plymouth, and Plymouth has been doing a reasonable job of trying to improve it. But I think I'd just like to see how this goes. I'm certainly keen to do the race.
Okay, well let's let's wrap this up and look one last time, Julie, at all the comments. If you've got anything pressing, let me know. Tom Herbert Evans, who's coming on the show, he does the Inspire program for Sail GP. Tom, we're looking forward to having you on sometime. Let's stitch up that date. I've gone. This is our 255th show, Will, and it used to be pulling teeth to get guests, and now I'm fending people off because we would have not five, but we'd have several guests for every show, and you've been a terrific guest. Witness all the comments and the still to go. Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor down there in Sydney, saying to Gordon Smith, I believe most of the AC teams are using different lifting foils, port to starboard, to save time and to gather more info when test sailing. Lisa Ratcliffe, Bow Caddy Media, good to see your vision in the show. Yeah, it's a good outfit. Lisa Ratcliffe, of course, you know, is a terrific PR lady down there in your part of the world. Will Oxley, a wonderful, this is Lisa saying this, a wonderful Australian ambassador and human being. And human, she said.
Thank you, Lisa.
So you give Lisa a hug for us. We think highly of Lisa. In fact, you mentioned Rob Mundell, as we call him, Rub Fondle. You know that's his nickname from the America's Cup days.
There you go.
Rub Fondle. See that? Julia at least didn't wince. She normally winches when I winches.
I could winch.
Cringes.
Sure. Yeah.
Cringes. Blake Middleton. Tom, the modesty quote is about what I said about you being modest and kind of step back behind the others. Is right on. Two of my instructors growing up here on Lake Minnetonka, I don't know if you've been up in the lakes in Minnesota, scow country and ice boating, great sailing area. But two of my instructors growing up they had that quality, John Gluck and Bob Nuffert, were champion sailors, but never even used humble brags. If they received compliments, they often replied, well, I just got lucky, or my crew pulled me through. Well, yeah, you just say thank you, too, which is what I keep trying to tell our 27-year-old daughter. Just say thanks, I'm so fortunate to have had them as role models. Indeed, Blake. Blake's been on the show, terrific, smart guy. Coach, contributor to the sport, race officer, and champion sailor. Jenny Tulloch, hello to you, Jen. Happy New Year. Chris Barnard, Christopher Favreau, Tom O'Keefe. Ibuki Koizumi is on. Hi, Ibuki, long time. Gordon Smith, shame the Fastnet can't manage the same coverage. Love following the Sydney Hobart. Why doesn't the Fastnet, why can't they get the same coverage? Is it because it's the middle of the summer? Is it just there's too much else going on?
I don't know the answer to that. There's a lot going on in the UK. They've been concentrating on other things.
There's a good quote from Christy Steinman Crawford Donnelly. Hi, Tom. Love the presentation, and oh, how things have changed. Hard to believe on my first transatlantic race as a navigator, I had to get a weather map by taking 2 speed tape recorder and decode Morse code to make a map. Amazing the changes in our lifetimes. Cheers to you all.
Do you know Christy Steinman? You must know Christy Steinman Crawford.
No,
Donnelly.
I don't.
She was technically, I think it's fair to say, she was the first, other than Gertrude Vanderbilt, who was in the afterguard on the J boats in the 30s. The lore is, and I don't think it's a myth. I think she was there. Whether she was actually calling the time for the famous Vanderbilt start or what she was doing, but she was certainly in the cup. And then you had Mrs. Hen, who was before that, but I think she was tending the animals in the down below in one of the cup challengers. No joke. One of those boats had a menagerie aboard. But Christy Steinman Crawford was a navigator in the 12-meter days for Dennis, and I think she competed at least in the 1980 Defender trials, speaking of Russell Long, with Dennis, and she was on the B team. She wasn't, Halsey Harrisoff was the A navigator, but Christy is a hell of a fine sailor, still living, I think, in San Diego. See her every now and then. It's nice to have you online, Christy. Steinman Crawford, and Donnelly now is her married name.
Yeah, well, the females make great navigators. And when everyone's going on about the physicality of the sport, you've got people like Jess Sweeney and Liv Greenhouse and Sam, who are great navigators. And it's a slot that there's not enough navigators around, so it's a great area that females could move into.
Well said. That's why wimps like me are navigators, because I'm not strong enough to do anything else, and I'm too old.
What are you saying? Do I need to do more exercise?
Yes. No, what I need. I say wimps like me. Pedro Foiling Sailor is saying, Will reminded me of a sailing friend, Michael Bannister, who lost his life while on Winston Churchill in 98.
Yeah.
98 race.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Mike. Sport's come a long way since then. We do learn, we as a race and species do learn. Gordon Smith, my thanks for another outstanding guest. Bedtime here in Scandinavia, where it is 24:06 in Scandinavia. Don McIntyre, 3 retro classes and now classic challenge, separate track, modern gear, W60 and Volvo 60, and a maxi. He's talking about that Don McIntyre's race. Don McIntyre. Now, what's the gentleman's name who's putting the race on?
Don McIntyre.
Well, Don McIntyre is on. Don McIntyre, no host ports yet, and not LaSalle. If it's the same Don McIntyre, if it is, sir, let's get you on. Welcome. Mark Curtis joining way late. Jack Sangmeister, that's John Sangmeister, who very early on in the show said hello to Will. You must know Sango.
I do.
Who's a
I
good.
do. We sailed on, Tritium in the Transpac race together.
That's the one you hit something or something broke or.
Yeah, we hit lots of things.
That boat's still for sale if anybody wants it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure.
There you go, John.
Yeah,
I don't know why John's not taking it in the Tahiti race.
He is. I think he is. He's seriously thinking about doing that. I talked to him earlier this morning, but not about that. He's still looking for a boat to replace OEX that sank tragically in the Transpac race this year. Blake Middleton, thank you for stepping up to join us. Will, Rick Rundle, we have landed. Some people watch this on the bloody airplanes. And I hope they have a nice cocktail when they're doing that. Christy Steinman Crawford Donnelly, thank you. And we are currently in La Paz on a large trawler, not in San Diego, so she's down in Mexico. Okay, I think it's time to wrap this up. One last question for you, sir. You said you've done how many? 5 round-the-world races of various description. Yep. 3 Volvos, or what we now think we'll call the ocean race. And what are you going to do in the next one?
That's to be determined. I might know a little bit more by the end of this week, but I'm interested in doing the race. I have a great interest in the weather, obviously, so it may be that I'm involved shoreside, or it may be that I'm involved racing. I think the AMOCAs are probably the part of the race that interests me most, and we just need to make sure that the race ends up with enough entries. At the moment, there's only, as far as I can gather, 2 or 3 real entries.
In the AMOCAs?
Yeah.
But I think all of the VO65s are spoken for, aren't they? All but. Yeah,
that's great, but it's a very different setup this time. Much more of youth teams, and I feel a little bit like I've done my time doing that, and maybe that's when I'm in my 60s.
You're 60. Will Oxley's been with us as our special guest today, live from Townsville in Queensland in Australia. And we really appreciate your coming on. It's been a fascinating couple hours, other than the technical meltdown we had at the start, which we got over reasonably quickly. Sorry for the interruption, or thanks for your patience, everybody that stayed with us. And Will, thanks for your patience as well, because you got up early this morning to join us, and we really appreciate it.
I got to sleep in because I was doing this, actually.
You're like me. You get up before breakfast, as my dad used to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Take good care.
Okay. It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Ciao.
For keep up the good work.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Ciao. Bye. Okay. Will Oxley, who was our guest there, and I mean, we talked about more different things. Is that a word? Is that?
Yes.
We say that in Michigan, probably not at Stanford.
Probably not.
Yeah. Will's staying here. He's going to watch the last little bit. I got his face up there in case we get any reactions from him. He starts giving us the finger or waving. I guess you can't do this anymore.
I know.
Just you can't. It's
not in Brazil.
Is it Brazil? No, it's all over. I mean, I can see. I know what this meant. That was not good when we were growing up, but I thought that was okay, and apparently that's something that's, anyway, who knows? Okay, let's wrap this turkey up. I want to tell you again that Hamish Ross is coming on this Friday. We got a lot of guests lined up and cool ones. We'll see if Hamish is as interesting as Will was. But Hamish Ross, the Deed of Gift Authority, the rules advisor, longtime friend, is coming on at your request. This is at the request of our viewers who said, get Hamish on. He got his doctorate. He's got a law degree, and he's a practicing lawyer, and he's got a business, a side hustle, a side gig. But he's also he's got his Juris Doctorate now, and his thesis was on the America's Cup, and specifically the America's Cup Deed of Gift. And he's got some interesting insights and stories that he's going to tell us on Friday, and we'll interview him. We'll cross-examine him the way we did to Will down there on the show today. See, I did get a smile out of him, a little bit of a smile there. So
I hope he wears his robes.
You hope Hamish wears his robes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
He won't, I don't think. But
if he does, you got to lean to the left a little bit. There you go. I can't change your camera myself. Yeah. It's fine. We worry. At least the sound, I hope, is better. And on the following Friday, I think I've got next Tuesday stitched up as well, a week from today. But the following Friday, James Pleasance is joining us. He is the executive director of the newly reformed, in every positive sense of the word, World Match Racing Tour. And WMRT and James will be with us a week from this coming Friday on the 24th of January as our guest live via Skype from London. Okay, that pretty well does it for us, unless there's any other questions or comments. I see Chris Larson's on. Talking about good sales. Stuart Childerley. Hello, Stuart. Mark Curtis. LOL, you can't do this, but you did. I love it. Keep up the good work. Don Lunabos, amazing show. Thank you all. Yeah, indeed. And thanks so much again to Will for joining us. Photo and video credits for today's show. A lot of you let us use your photos and videos. Again, it's not doing the show that's hard, it's preparing it, and we appreciate all of your patience. Okay, hope that you will join us on Friday, same time, same channel. In the meantime, have a very good rest of your week, and of course, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao. Bye.